Hi, I'm Steph, and I am trying to ship a game on Steam in just 2 months. This is day 2 of that process. Yesterday I worked on the design document and figuring some stuff out, enough to have a preliminary idea of what I need to make. And today I'm going to begin prototyping that. Now, I'm not working from scratch. I've had a game that I've been working on for about 6 months now, but I've decided to drastically reduce the scope of that game and try to push something out that's interesting. So I'm branching off of that idea and I'm using some of the core mechanics that I already have. And yeah, so today we'll be preparing the project to go in a new direction. Now, I started the day by cleaning up and doing some housekeeping and making sure that the project is in a good working state to build off of. As you can see here, I can play the game and I can move around and shoot and smash into walls and die. So from here I'm going to actually be stripping a lot of functionality. For instance, you can see here in the viewport I have a whole environment that's meant for VR. This gameplay over here that you're seeing on the main screen would have been projected onto this tabletop, and you'd be standing in this environment and looking at the table and playing this game with your friends. But a lot of that functionality is going to be stripped out along with the netcode. I've been trying to figure out what the best way to go about this is, if I should just delete and strip the stuff out of the project, delete all the netcode, delete this environment stuff, or if I should keep all of that stuff so that later it'll be really easy for me to add networking and do all these great things that I want to do with VR and networking. And I plan to do that at some point. But the more I thought about it, the more I feel like I'm leaning towards just stripping that stuff out of the project, and if I want to access all of that work that I've done on the netcode, I can go back in the repo and to the point where it existed and kind of pull that stuff forward. Because the main problem with keeping it around is that a lot of it is commented out, as it's, you know, on the I'm not going to be building the server anytime soon, the server version of the code. So there's a lot of code that's going to be dormant here, and that will kind of fall drastically out of date anyway. So I don't think there's much of a point in keeping it around. And cleaning all this stuff out should actually simplify the process of making this game, which is highly necessary because we're trying to make a game very quickly. With that said, I'll still have to keep it in mind that I want to do networking and stuff in the future, and I'll build things in a way that will support this kind of stuff later on. So that brings me to the really fun part of this video, which is gonna be deleting all of my hard work, lots of it. So we're gonna just do a quick line count here. I got this little fun application here. I'm gonna count the lines in my project, and we're gonna see how many things we can get rid of. And this is just counting basically all the lines of code underneath my own little directory within Unity, so not including the external libraries, just stuff that I've written. So I'm just going to grab a little screenshot of that for later, and we'll do a comparison. So a few examples of what I'll be removing: anything to do with the netcode server, or like the server build of the game, stuff that's conditional for that. That's going to go, so I'm just going to delete that big chunk there. Oculus platform stuff, I'm not going to be using Oculus in any regard here, so that's going to go. No more VR. Same with avatars. Oculus avatars are going to go. You get the idea. So I'm just going to time lapse through this and delete all of my hard work. And I'm done. There we go. We have a project devoid of netcode, environment, or second environment loading, VR, Oculus stuff, matchmaking, bunch of stuff removed, totally cleaned out, and hopefully I won't regret that someday, but it should be safe. I've got it in the repo. It's in the history. Everything is going to be fine. So let's take a look at how much we just removed. Before this cleanse, I had about 14,000 lines of code. And subtracting what I have left, looks like I've deleted 7,612 lines of code. So that's pretty significant. In fact, that's more than half of the code that I had. So we just reduced complexity in the project by 1/2. And we're left with a game that almost functions. It doesn't do anything right now when we hit play, but I just have to fix 1 or 2 things, and then we should be back basically to where we were on the screen. And I think that's a testament to just how much work I've been doing that doesn't show up on the screen. And that's, I guess that's a little demoralizing sometimes when you go months and months without making any visible progress, but you're making massive progress in the background. But anyway, I'm going to move on here. I'm going to get this synced up with my laptop. I need to go elsewhere today. I need to go visit some family, and I might work on it there a little bit. And we'll see if by the end of the day I can actually get some gameplay started. I don't know if I'll have time, but here's hoping.
the next day.
Alright, I promised I would have a prototype by Monday. It's Monday night right now. It's 11:11. It's before midnight, which means it's not Tuesday, and it's still Monday. And I have for you here a prototype. It's not the most complete or useful prototype for testing gameplay, but it's a huge step forward as far as getting the structure of the game together and trying it out. It's not fun yet, but it's something, so let's show you that right now. Alright, so here's my fabulous main menu screen. Not much going on, but we do have a button which allows you to start a raid. So this places you within a large open environment where we have a few different forts or bases or combat areas. These ones aren't really populated, but they're just kind of there just to start getting an idea of how this is going to work. So let's go check one of these out. I've got a third-person camera. It's obviously the most basic thing you can do. It's just attached to the player pretty directly, so it's not nice yet, and it'll feel much better once I do some work on that. But we're moving along pretty good. Here we are, and here we can approach a base here. Oh wow, I just killed myself by running into the wall too quickly. Okay. You can see my remains there. And I also implemented today, I've got some rudimentary AI. So we do have an enemy pawn who scoots around the level just on a basically a waypoint patrol path system. Very basic, but it's fairly robust, and a lot of this figuring out the code structure of how to generate inputs and stuff, and for how this is all going to work with AI, like this is a pretty big step forward on the technical front. So this isn't a normal prototype in which, like, normally you would do the hackiest, worst thing you can possibly do to quickly and efficiently get to a gameplay test. But I'm doing it a little bit different with this one and keeping things structurally coherent, so I think it'll pay off. I think I'm pretty confident in the idea that's in my head. We'll see if that bites me in the ass when we're halfway through the project and then realize that the game is no fun at all. But I think it's the only way that we can possibly get this thing done and have it in a fairly polished state. Besides that, we also have a little key here. This golden key, or golden cube, is in fact a key, so we can pick it up. Theoretically, we can pick it up, there we go, by running into it. So now we have a key, and we can exit the level, and we can exit the raid just like that. So now we're back to the main menu. There's obviously not a whole lot of visual change here, but I can start the raid again and enter a new raid, as it were, and this is all reset and everything is good to go. Well, it's kind of reset. But yeah, that gives you the basic game loop, which is really important to get that full game loop in place, even as rough and minimal as it is. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty excited with how well the code adapted to this totally big change in game format. So I'm excited to see how this shapes up for the rest of the week. On the outside, Isaac does have some concepts of the ship done. He's just doing some sculpting right now, just to kind of like fool around with it in 3D. We don't have a full detailed plan like we kind of wanted to, but that was kind of a lofty goal anyway. So like, we don't really understand our gameplay that well right now. We don't really understand the art, but hopefully by the end of this first week in development, we'll have those questions answered. So yeah, I can't really complain about that. I'm pretty stoked about this, and it's looking good. But I'm getting pretty sleepy, so I'm going to call it there and climb into bed and die until tomorrow morning, at which point I'll edit this video, and then I will keep on working on this thing. So with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.